In this video, I want to talk about the structure of your individual assignment. Last time I have go through with you the benefits of Urban Tree, so that is in the introduction section, and within that introduction section, there should be more than benefits. So, what can you include in the introduction sections? So the benefits of urban trees, like ecological benefits, biodiversity, air pollution or the removal of air pollutants, those I have already covered. But benefits are just some good things. Sometimes we have to focus on the bad things as well, which are the potential hazards. If you plant a tree in the urban area, and if it does not grow healthily, then it may fall down. So when a tree falls down, we call it tree failure. I remember I have mentioned in the lecture there are two modes of tree failure. The first mode is called breakage, which means that the trunk of the tree or the branch of the tree breaks. The whole tree still stands, but one or some of its parts just fall down. And the other mode is called uprooting, meaning that the whole tree is uprooted. The weakest point of the tree is in its root system. So the whole tree could be described as being plucked up by external forces like wind. But for trees that fail, if a tree fell in the country park, we can leave that aside. We can pay no attention to them. But if it fails in the urban area, then our properties may be damaged. What are our properties? Things like vehicles, things like bus stops, power cables, all those are possible targets of tree failure. Other than that, we have precious lives. So life is invaluable. If there are casualties, which means that people die because of tree failure or injuries. So we do not want that to happen. So these are the potential hazards. And remember, it is still within the frame of your individual assignment. So you have to provide a clear aim of your individual assignment. Perhaps it could be to assess the tree failure potential of two urban trees, or your aim could be comparing tree risk in two different habitats. It's up to you. It is very, very flexible. You can create your own aim as long as it is sensible. So the whole introduction section should be divided into at least 3 parts. So you may write 50 to 100 words describing the benefits, and do the same for the hazards. And finally, you should use 10 or 20 words to describe your aim. That is on introduction. And then the second section is on method. So I expect you to briefly introduce your study area. You remember that trees in urban can grow in different habitats. So you have selected some tree samples, perhaps 2 trees only, and then please give me some details of the study area. You can give me the name of the place, and then you can include a little bit about the site history. Let's say if you chose trees in a park, then you may tell me where is the park located, when it was built, is it frequently used, information like that. Okay, so that is about study area. And then you should describe your sample or samples. Because you select more than 1 trees, you can tell me why you select those 2 trees. What is the justification for selecting those 2 trees? Perhaps those 2 trees are in potential danger of tree failure, or many people are passing under the tree crown, so you want to assess their risk. Just provide some sound reasons. That would be okay. And then you should give me your measurement or risk assessment procedures. What equipment did you use? Which form have you used? So show me what facilitated your measurement or risk assessment procedures. So if you provide these information for me, I would be quite happy. For the methods section, I think you can write about 50 words for each part. Okay, at most. So that is on methods. And then you can give me results. So results are what you get from the sampling. You may tell me the tree dimension. So in the tree risk assessment form, there are many blanks which you have to fill in. And there are many about the tree dimension. For example, you can tell me the diameter at breast height, dBH. You can also tell me the height of the tree. You can compare them. Other important figures like crown spread, number of trunks, and so on. So you can just describe the tree dimension, and you can summarize. Perhaps after going through all those numbers, you can say that the tree is quite big or quite small, or you can tell me more information. For example, you can compare the dimension you find with the final dimension or the final size of a tree. When you do the comparison, you can find out, are the trees that you are assessing a mature tree, or is it a young tree? Try to find relevant information online. So that is on tree dimension or dimensions, because you have more than 1 parameters. And then you can give me more information, because on the tree risk assessment form, you have to check the tree defects on the branches, on the crown, on the trunk, and even for the root system. So give me a summary. Perhaps you can tell me how many defects you have found, and which tree part or which tree parts has or have most of the defects, and which defects are the most serious. So these are all you can describe on defects. And remember, if you come across with defects that you really want to show me, then you can take some pictures or include some photographs in your individual assignment. Remember one thing, for each photograph, you must give me a proper caption. Try to describe things in the photographs. You can annotate your photographs, draw some arrows, insert some text, so you can make the information clear. So, all these are about defects. And then remember, on the last page of the tree risk assessment form, you have information related to tree risk. You can tell me the usage of the site. Is it heavily used? Are there many people in the site? Are there many people passing by the tree that you have assessed? And then the tree part with the highest consequences of failure. So there are a lot of information. Just pick out what you think is important. You can skip some of the unimportant information. You can select only the relevant information, or you can just select the information that you are confident to present on. So these are the 3 parts on results. So I think at most you can write about 100 words for each part. If you have written a little bit less than you have planned for other parts, then you can write more here. You can shift the weight of your essay to this part. You can do the same for the next section, which is called discussion. You remember that in the results section, you have talked about defect. And in discussion, you may try to probe into the cause or causes of defects. You do not need to pick out every defect and discuss every of them. You can just pick out the important or serious one, the one that you want people to pay attention to. Talking about causes, perhaps it can be due to environmental stress. Are there enough soil nutrients? Are there enough water? So take some pictures of the habitat of the tree and do some basic logical deduction to see whether the surrounding environment pose constraints on the growth of the trees. But sometimes there could be some biotic or pest. So biotic, stress, or pest, or even fungi. So you remember in the lecture, I have talked about the biotic and abiotic causes of defects. You can divert your paragraphs into abiotic and biotic stresses. So that are the potential causes or the formation or the reasons of formation of defects. After that, as you are assessing tree risk, you are expected to come up with some proposed actions. I can give you some examples here. Perhaps you may ask people to perform more frequent inspection. There could be other actions, for example, pruning. And you can even ask the authority to remove the tree, chop it down because the risk is too huge, too high. So there are many more actions. But remember, as you propose the actions, you can give out some details. You can also tell me the reasons for doing so. So that is discussion. And finally, you should write a very, very brief conclusion, which is a summary of what you have done in the whole tree risk assessment exercise. So after conclusion, you may give me references. Perhaps you have found some academic sources, and those books, articles, or essays, they discuss tree risk. So you can use those as your inspirations, and you can cite them in your individual assignment. So for these parts, I think for the causes and proposed actions, you can write 100 words. And you can spend the leftover words for conclusion. So let me give you a roundup. First, you write the introduction. That is the first section of your individual assignment. So benefits, potential hazards, and a clear aim of this individual assignment. Then for the second section, you give me your methods. Methods. So describe your study area. Tell me how you selected your samples and give me justification. And then tell me the procedure of your measurement and risk assessment for the trees. So that is all for the second section. And then we come to the third section, which is the results section. Tell me the physical dimension of the tree. Are there any defects? And give me an overall impression of the risk. And then we have a discussion. The discussion should be based on your results. And in the discussion, you can tell me your examination. You can discuss your findings and propose some actions on the trees. And finally, it is a conclusion, which is the final section. So all these one introduction, and then methods, section number 2, and then results, section number 3, and then discussion, section number 4, and finally we have conclusion, and then references. That should be the structure of your individual assignment. If you have anything that you want to ask, or if it is still unclear, please write me an email or give me a call or something. I can answer you, provided that you are willing to ask a question.